Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. The latest drama in Beyond the Gates is about to take a painfully personal turn as Leslie decides that if Nicole can blindside her with the shocking revelation that Ted and Shanice are in love, then Nicole should be prepared for a taste of her own medicine. Leslie clearly did not take the news well, and everything that has happened since has only pushed her closer to the edge. After all, she already had to endure that tense conversation with Vanessa, where the widow McBride bluntly advised her to let Ted go because the man simply does not return her feelings. For Leslie, hearing that Shanice and her Teddy are in love was already a devastating blow, but instead of quietly accepting it, she appears ready to strike back in the most public way possible. And according to the Beyond the Gates spoilers for Wednesday, August 5th, Leslie's revenge will put Nicole's love life directly under the spotlight. The tension reaches another level when Leslie puts Nicole and her romantic situation on blast right in front of Carlton, creating one of those uncomfortable moments where the truth suddenly becomes impossible to hide. This dramatic confrontation is featured in the weekly Beyond the Gates video preview, and Carlton is close enough to hear every word when Leslie lets the shocking information slip. In the promo, she reveals that Daddy is getting laid by darling Nikki at the Comfort Inn, and Sweets turning what was already a complicated love triangle into something far more embarrassing and explosive. Carlton has spent the past several weeks watching this tangled situation unfold from the sidelines, never quite knowing where he stands in the middle of it all. Now, with Leslie openly exposing Nicole's relationship in such a blunt and humiliating way, Carlton suddenly has information that could change how he sees everyone involved. The real question is what he will do with everything he has just overheard, because once a secret like this is spoken aloud, there is no easy way to put it back into the shadows. While Leslie's revenge threatens to send shockwaves through Nicole's world, another young man's plans are beginning to crumble in a completely different corner of the story. Terrell is already frustrated, and that frustration explodes when Martin tells his son that he is not going to half-ass his way through college. The confrontation leaves Terrell visibly cranky, and the weekly teasers make it clear that whatever he has been planning is about to blow up spectacularly in his face. Terrell has spent much of the summer with a very specific goal occupying his thoughts, so the sudden collapse of his plans almost certainly has something to do with the person who has been at the center of his attention. His girlfriend may be the key to everything, especially if he has been trying to convince Jessica to remain close to home. If Terrell could not persuade Jessica to stay nearby, there is a very real possibility that she is preparing to leave for UCLA, and that possibility could explain why he is suddenly so angry and desperate. As Terrell struggles with the possibility of losing the future he imagined, Eva is facing a much more serious and frightening uncertainty of her own. She is still recovering from her transplant surgery, carefully attending her physical therapy appointments as she works toward getting her strength back, but Eva has never been especially comfortable sitting still, and now her impatience is growing because she desperately wants to return to work full-time. She wants her old routine back, wants to feel useful again, and perhaps most importantly, wants to believe that the hardest part of her recovery is already behind her. Yet recently, just before Isaiah took her to Uptown to celebrate their love, Eva experienced troubling pain in her side, a warning sign that immediately raises questions about whether her recovery is progressing the way everyone hoped. Now, with terrible news apparently on the way, Eva may discover that returning to normal life is going to take much longer than she expected. That possibility makes Ava's upcoming storyline especially emotional because she has already been through so much and was finally beginning to look toward a happier chapter with Isaiah. Instead, the news she receives could force her to slow down again just when she was desperate to move forward. Hopefully, whatever doctors tell her will not be something worse, but the uncertainty alone is enough to cast a shadow over her recovery. And while Ava waits to learn what her body is trying to tell her, Anita is finally in a better place herself, giving her the opportunity to turn her attention back toward the people around her. Now that Anita is feeling better, she can once again focus her energy on her family and the endless drama surrounding them. But Anita is not simply going to sit back and watch events unfold, because the latest spoilers suggest that she is preparing to give one of her daughters a deadline. The mystery is whether that ultimatum will be aimed at Nicole or Danny, and whichever daughter finds herself on the receiving end may not be prepared for what Anita has in mind. And just when it seems like there is already more than enough happening across these intertwined families, Vernon is preparing to turn his attention toward Isaiah. The two men are set to meet up on Wednesday, bringing another layer of intrigue into a story already filled with romantic complications, family pressure, and uncertain futures. The reason behind their meeting remains unclear, but there is a strong possibility that it could connect Vernon's consulting work with Isaiah's position at Banneker. If their conversation is business-related, it could open the door to an entirely different kind of storyline, one that pulls Isaiah away from the personal struggles currently surrounding him and into a more complicated professional situation. With Leslie preparing to expose Nicole, Terrell watching his plans collapse, Ava receiving potentially upsetting news, Anita preparing an ultimatum, and Vernon seeking out Isaiah, Wednesday promises to bring one revelation after another. And as these separate storylines begin moving closer together, the biggest question is no longer whether trouble is coming, it is how many lives will be changed once it finally arrives. But beneath all of these unfolding conflicts, the most explosive question remains what happens after Leslie's public revelation. She may have intended to embarrass Nicole, but exposing the truth in front of Carlton could create consequences far beyond the moment itself. Carlton has watched this complicated situation from a distance, and now he has suddenly been handed a piece of information that could force him to reconsider everything he thought he understood about his family and the people involved. Leslie, meanwhile, may feel a brief sense of satisfaction after finally striking back, but revenge rarely ends where the person delivering it expects. Once the words are out in the open, Nicole may have to face questions she was hoping to avoid, while Ted and Shanice's relationship could become even more complicated because of the fallout. For Leslie, this is clearly about more than simple jealousy. She has already been wounded by the discovery that Ted and Shanice are in love, and Vanessa's warning only made the situation more painful by forcing Leslie to confront the reality that Ted does not feel the same way about her. Instead of accepting that heartbreak quietly, Leslie appears determined to make sure someone else feels the sting of humiliation too. Her decision to expose Nicole suggests that she wants control over a situation in which she has felt powerless, and that makes her next move particularly dangerous. Nicole may have been the person Leslie chose to target, but the emotional consequences could spread through the entire family, and with Carlton now aware of the secret, the fallout may only be beginning. Meanwhile, Terrell's frustration could become even more intense as his carefully constructed plans begin slipping away. Martin's demand that his son take college seriously is not something Tyrell can simply ignore, especially when his personal life appears to be pulling him in the opposite direction. If Jessica really is preparing to leave for UCLA, Terrell may suddenly be facing the reality that the summer he imagined spending with her is coming to an end. For someone who has allowed his relationship to become such a major focus, the thought of watching Jessica leave could feel like losing control over his entire future. His anger toward his dads may therefore be hiding something much deeper, a fear that the life he wants is changing before he is ready to accept it. And when his plan finally blows up in his face, Terrell may be forced to choose between holding on to Jessica and beginning the next chapter of his own life. Eva's storyline carries an entirely different kind of tension because this time the uncertainty is tied directly to her recovery and her hopes for returning to normal. She has been doing what she is supposed to do, attending physical therapy and working to regain her strength after transplant surgery, but emotionally, she is already desperate to put the experience behind her. Her desire to return to work full-time shows just how badly she wants her independence back, yet the recent pain in her side has introduced a frightening question that she cannot simply ignore. The timing is especially painful because she had just shared a meaningful moment with Isaiah when he took her to Uptown to celebrate their love. Now, instead of enjoying that happiness without reservation, Eva may have to confront the possibility that her body needs more time to heal. That uncertainty could also place unexpected pressure on Eva and Isaiah's relationship. Isaiah has already been there for her during a difficult period, and their celebration at Uptown represented a moment when they could briefly forget the fear and focus on what they have together. But if Eva receives news that her recovery is going to take longer than expected, both of them may have to adjust their hopes once again. For Eva, the hardest part may not simply be the physical pain, but the emotional frustration of feeling as though life is moving forward everywhere around her while she remains stuck waiting for her body to catch up. Still, there is reason to hope that the news will not be as serious as feared. Until Eva knows exactly what is happening, however, the uncertainty will continue hanging over her like a dark cloud. And as Eva waits for answers, Anita is stepping back into the middle of her family's problems now that she is feeling better. Her renewed strength means she can once again focus her attention on the drama surrounding her children, and apparently she is prepared to make a decisive move. Giving one of her daughters a deadline suggests that Anita has reached the point where patience is running thin. The question of whether Nicole or Danny will receive that ultimatum could become another major source of tension, particularly because both women have their own complicated situations unfolding. Anita may believe that setting a firm deadline is the only way to force a difficult decision, but the daughter on the receiving end may see it as pressure at exactly the wrong moment. Either way, Anita's involvement is likely to push another family conflict toward a breaking point. Then there is Vernon and Isaiah, whose Wednesday meeting could quietly introduce another important storyline while everyone else is consumed by personal drama. Vernon is turning his attention toward Isaiah, and because their meeting may involve Vernon's consulting work and Isaiah's work at Banneker, there could be more at stake than either man initially reveals. Professional connections have a way of becoming complicated when they intersect with family, relationships, and personal ambitions, and Isaiah already has enough on his plate without another problem appearing. Whether this meeting turns into an opportunity, a warning, or something much more complicated remains to be seen. What makes it especially intriguing is how little we know about Vernon's intentions, leaving plenty of room for the conversation to take an unexpected direction. And while the other characters are dealing with secrets being exposed and plans falling apart, Vernon and Isaiah may be quietly setting the stage for the next major conflict. By the end of Wednesday's episode, the emotional landscape of Beyond the Gates could look very different. Leslie's decision to expose Nicole may unleash consequences she never anticipated, while Carlton is left holding a secret that could change the way he sees the people around him. Terrell may have to confront the painful reality that Jessica could be leaving for UCLA. Eva may discover that her recovery will require more patience, and Anita's ultimatum could force either Nicole or Danny into a decision they are not ready to make. At the same time, Vernon's meeting with Isaiah could open another door, potentially connecting the personal world of the characters with the professional world of Banneker. One storyline may begin with a whispered secret, another with a shattered plan, and another with a frightening medical update, but all of them are moving toward the same thing, the next wave of consequences. And in a world where one person's revelation can completely change another person's future, the biggest drama may still be waiting just around the corner.